Oh, working with Eddie and Ray, we after that time in Chicago, we had our first WWE debut match or whatever in Madison Square Garden, and our first match, our debut, we won the titles from Eddie and Ray in Madison Square Garden, and that night we left and flew to Europe for like a 2-week loop, you know, and we worked Eddie and Ray every single night, and working with Eddie, it's crazy, just how much I learned from him. In those 2 weeks in Europe, like one night we went 40 minutes with him, and got to the back, and Finlay was running the show, and he got real hot at Eddie because we were out there way too long, you know. And then he was like, okay. So the next night we're in Milan, Italy, 15,000 people. From the time that we made our entrance to the time that we came back through the curtain, 52 minutes. Yeah. So I was like, you know, you're gonna take this one, and he was always real good about that. He always took the heat, you know, for whenever the office said anything.
Right.
And yeah, there wasn't a match on that loop that we didn't go less than 35 minutes with those guys. It was different every night, and Eddie was really good about that too. He taught me how to listen to the crowd, and not listen like, oh, they like this, or you know, or trying to please them, but more like knowing what they want. You know, and tell me little things like walk out through the curtain, and if it's high pitched, that's women and children. You know, if it's low pitched, that's that's grown men. You know, or you know, maybe some teenagers or a rowdy crowd. So just from listening to the people, Eddie could tell whether they wanted comedy, whether they wanted, you know, wrestling, whether they wanted, you know, brawling, hardcore. You know, he was just really, really good about that, because we had a different match every night. You know, one, because Eddie could never remember anything, you know, and that's how it worked.
Right.
And two, just because he knew how to work. It was incredible.
You also got to work with Bob Holly and Charlie Haas. What are your memories of those matches?
Those were our first matches up there, like as a member of the locker room or a member of the team, really. And like I said, I had the herniated disc in my back, and when I got up there, especially working with Bob and Charlie, I was like, I've worked with Charlie, you know, off and on since 1999. It was my first time working with Bob, and I was like, man, these guys are a lot bigger and they hit a lot harder up here. You know, and it's 4 nights a week, 5 nights a week, and I learned a lot from Bob Holly. Bob Holly is so good in the ring. He's very, very good in the ring, and he demands a lot from you out there. And you know, when you're young and you're first coming in, they'll stick you with a Bob Holly to see, you know, as kind of a litmus test to see if, you know, if Bob comes back, you know, and Bob's either, or, you know, that's how they kind of know. Because if you hang with him and keep up with him, and we did, you know, we made him a fan of ours. It took a little while. You know, there were definitely some rough nights there in the beginning.
Right.
You know.
Do you think Johnny knew what was going on as far as hanging with the team and stuff like that? No. What about working with Adam on Hyperwork?
Again, I've known Hyderrack for a while, just from OVW and stuff like that. Animal was great to work with. You know, he's got critics, you know, saying, you know, that he wasn't what he used to be and all that, but I mean, I learned so much from him. You know, he sold out everywhere he went for 20 years. He was on top for 20 years. Probably the greatest tag team of all time for Warriors. And just overall, when you look at business, you know, they went everywhere and were on top everywhere.
Right.
And him too, and he was really the thinker of his group. You know, and Hawk was the doer. And he taught us so much.
What are your thoughts on Paul Heyman as a WWE writer as compared to Paul Heyman, the ECW booker?
Paul looked a lot younger in WWE.
Less stress.
Yeah, less stress. I mean, you know, he still fought his battles every day with Vince or Stephanie or whatever, but he, I don't know, Paul just knew what was going on, and we didn't work with him that much because he got sent to OVW to write their TV, you know. And Paul was back and forth because then they started that ECW thing up again, and Paul wasn't there that much when we were there. You know.
How did Melina and Batista's relationship affect you guys? I think you wrote a book and you made no apologies about their fling and stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of like the big the polar bear in the room that nobody talks about.
Right.
You know, I tried to keep it. John and Melina are like my brother and sister, you know, and I try not to delve into their personal life, you know, but when I wasn't in any position to talk to people about their personal lives because I was going through my own stuff. But it was hard. It was hard on both of them, and it was hard on me because, you know, the locker room didn't really appreciate Melina at the time, I don't think, and then Nitro got looked at. And I make the comparison to Chris and Tammy, you know, like everybody liked Nitro a lot, good worker, you know, or, you know, getting there,
right.
Nice guy, do anything for you. I think Melina kind of had the Tammy reputation a little bit,
right,
and I was kind of like spared from any of that, but at the same time it affected me because, you know, we were in business together.
Yeah. So. What about Matt, Jeff, and Lita? What are your thoughts on that whole disastrous triangle, sort of?
Well, again, I'm real close to Amy, known her for a long time. Matt and Jeff, you know, they're like family to me. And I stayed friends with Amy through all that, and I stayed friends with Matt and Jeff, and it's just, people make mistakes, you know, and we all do, and we all have our issues, you know, and sometimes they get really ugly, you know, but I can never judge anybody for what they do, you know. Okay, you made a mistake, and yeah, I don't like it, but I can't, you know, I can't condemn somebody for something that they did, you know.
What about Jillian Hall? How did she get added to your gimmick?
I don't know. It wasn't a good idea, whoever came up with it.
Right.
I mean, it was pretty silly. I think they were just looking for her to do something, and we were kind of in between phase. So I think we had our first run as champions there, and then we weren't really doing much. And I think it was just a spot for Jillian to get in and get on.
I guess, how did you guys travel?